Hello? Okay, great. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. So today I'm going to be going through, closer? Yes? Okay. I'm going to be going through some of the problems facing consumer products and crypto, how Ava Labs is thinking about those problems, and how we're using Core to address them. And at the end, we'll have a little bit of some announcements on larger features that we're going to be adding to Core. So if you stick around, you get to see those. So let's get started. Okay, great. So these are just a list of some problems that exist in the cryptocurrency industry currently. This is non-exhaustive or in any way, but it's just some things that we're facing. And it's not specific always to crypto, some of these problems. Some of them also are faced with some normal products that individuals face. So, sorry, I'm stuttering here. Some normal products that aren't in the crypto industry also experience some of the same issues. And when we say consumer products, what I really mean are those interacting with the blockchain. Ava Labs has a strong focus on the underlying infrastructure and architecture of Avalanche, obviously, but we also have a strong focus on the consumer products. Consumer products being dApps, marketplaces, ecosystems, your wallet, your dashboard, exchanges. And that's a very important part for individuals to actually perform on-chain actions on crypto. Actually getting users, even non-technical users, being able to interact with all the things that is being built and the utility of blockchains. And these are some of the problems that those products face. Now, the approach we're taking with it is solving very specific and then as well as very broad problems. When you're solving problems for a user, then you're actually providing a use case and you're actually providing utility and then having them return to actually have users use your product again and again, and that's the way we're thinking about it very specifically. And I'm going to go through only a few of these, the highlighted ones, obviously, but there are obviously more that we can get into very far in depth. One thing to consider when going through this is like who we're building for, and I say users, but there's others that need to be taken into account. So yes, users build utility and convenience so that they return. You also need to be considering other businesses. Now, the focus of this presentation is not on a business-to-business component, but it is important to take that into consideration while you're building your product. And if you can either, I don't want to say leverage, but work with, especially in a community setting of Avalanche, like how can we work together, how can we help each other flourish? And then the same with builders. Focus on this is not for builders, but it's important to take them into account on all things. If you were at Nick Wasalam's keynote, that was very specific on builders, the announcement of Ava Cloud. This, on the other hand, again, we're focusing very specifically on consumer products. So what we're using to do that is Core. So you may be familiar with it, you may not be. This is what we describe as your all-in-one Web3 solution that Ava Labs has developed. So what it involves is a browser extension and a mobile wallet, which both serve as your signing tools, as well as a web-based dashboard. And what you can think of this as is the signing tools, the wallet, and the mobile, the wallets on the mobile and the browser extension are the keys, and our DApp web dashboard is the car. And we're building a lot of utility inside of the web-based tool so that we can solve some of the problems we discussed before. The main reason we built Core, listed here obviously, is one, to solve some of the problems you saw there. So users face them, they interact with them. We need to make sure that that's accommodated. We can't always rely on something to be built to support every problem that's faced, and we need to make sure that the key ones are being addressed. Two, ensure that subnets are accessible for users. So as you've seen and as you've heard throughout this whole conference, subnets are a key part of Avalanche's strategy. So there was when it was first getting started, there was no guarantee that all individuals' wallets, MetaMask, or other dashboards, data tools were really going to be able to support subnets, or really going to be willing to support subnets. So building Core to really focus on those was very important to us, so that when users came in or subnets are being built, they're guaranteed some kind of tool that out of the box will support them. Users will immediately be able to act on and interact with those subnets. And this is what core really served for. And 3, and the final reason we built it, and the main reason we really built it, was solving the problem that was mentioned before, or listed before, sorry, is we wanted to build a consolidated tool all within one umbrella. Now, what that really means is, and this kind of gets into the first problem that I'm going to be addressing, is like the scattered ecosystem in blockchain. So if you've interacted with consumer products in blockchain recently, or in any way, if you're a novice or really experienced, things are everywhere. Your marketplace is over here, your exchange is over there, different exchanges support different tokens, and it's all in different places. It's a very fractured or fragmented ecosystem. So being able to pull those all into one tool, one umbrella, it doesn't quite exist yet. And it's something that we're really trying to solve for. You don't have one place you go to right now, one OS, one operating system for all your things. You go to one place for one tool, you go one place for other. And our answer to that question was developing, was developing Core. So this is an image of Core Web, but it also includes the signing tool and the signing tools of web and extension. And we first focused on like building a base layer of utility. So getting to a level of parity with what's out there right now. So individuals having their signing tool, having a portfolio dashboard, having a DeFi portfolio dashboard. We've integrated our Avalanche bridge, which is incredibly useful. There's a swap component, there's send, receive, the list kind of goes on. And then once we had that layer of like, okay, we have our base layer of utility, now how do we begin to solve this problem of a scattered ecosystem? And when we approach this problem, it really starts to grab, and I'll flip back a little bit here. Once we approach this problem with a scattered tool, it really starts to, you'll see the other ones start to domino behind it. It's like, okay, if we're doing this, we add this tool, then we're immediately solving another problem. So let me go to the next thing is say, okay, what's the next one that we can grab utility and pull it in? So one problem that individuals face when they're interacting with the crypto ecosystem currently is info and education. So this isn't to say there isn't tons of news articles and data and whatnot on crypto as a whole, but with us being a very Avalanche focused company, it was very difficult to find, we saw it was very difficult for users to find things that are going on Avalanche. So beyond just news, it was, okay, what are the top projects, or what events are happening, or what is still irrelevant? Yeah, sure, that article came out a while ago, but I can't find it anymore. Or what is trending right now? And then how do I learn how to use these things? How do I get an education on like these tools that just came out? And why are all these things in multiple places? So what we did was we started to pull as much as we could under this umbrella. So we recently launched Core Discover, which was very exciting. It did very well. And what it really served as is bringing in all that information in one place. So in the same place that you're able to get your portfolio dashboard, interact on chain, interact with games and other dApps in one place, you don't have to go anywhere. You're now able to access this other information within the same dashboard. So for example, a user can go in, see what projects are featured, what is happening with Avalanche, what news is going on. You can see events where, is there a download coming up I need to be aware of? Is Avalanche Summit in 2 weeks? Is there something down the road? So it gives someone one place where they can access all of that information as well as still perform the other interactions they're used to using with crypto. The next one we were really trying to solve, and I mentioned this briefly before, is being able to interact with your ecosystem and other projects in it. So what's very important to projects to build on Avalanche is they have a hard time getting in front of people. When someone goes on to Google right now or is searching for a project or searching for something very specifically in crypto, it's very difficult for a novice user. An experienced one has their preset few. What projects really want to be able to do is get in front of individuals. Like, how do I get my project or showcased in front of users? And users want to be able to, like, what are the ones that have some level of due diligence? What isn't a scam? What has some level of credence? And how do I get some information on it before I really commit to start using it? So we wrapped that into some of the tools within Core. So now, if you go in there, you'll be able to see cataloged set of information on projects that exist within the Avalanche ecosystem, information that is regularly updated, and you'll be able to see like, okay, if I'm interested in games, dApps, broken down a little bit more detailed, specific DeFi, you can really find that, and it's searchable as well. And that way you know that there's been some level of due diligence performed or some level of research performed, because we make sure the projects that are on there are the ones that we're partnered with or we're aware of, and we know the team behind them. Another great part of this is projects get a chance to showcase themselves. So essentially that we have in this, a project can submit their information, have like a social media style portfolio that they can control, profile, and then they can update that. So if there's like website changes, information changes, and right now this is just like a little set of information. We hope to enable more. So someone can eventually go to, say, this example, Platypus, you find that project, you could actually interact with that dApp from this dashboard. And that's a little bit further down the line, but that's definitely a very key component to like what we're trying to achieve in solving problems by consolidating utility under one umbrella. Where, okay, I can actually interact with all these dApps in one space. So we're not serving as a point or building a consumer product to directly compete with all these that are out there. We want them to succeed, and we want people to get to them easier, and this is how we're approaching that. Now, the final one is, oh no, sorry, not the final one. I'm gonna say it again. Making sure that subnets are accessible and tools are accessible. So when individuals are building or creating subnets, we want to make sure they have the specific tools they need to deploy them. Again, that's what Ava Cloud is going to be working on. But if you're not working on a specific subnet, sometimes you just need an API, you need a signing tool, or you just need some information about on-chain data. We're also making sure that these tools or this data is available to users. So if you're interested in just having like, oh, I just need the Glacier API, which one of my coworkers, Mark, talked about earlier, where I can just get indexed information on Avalanche quickly available to me. That's here as well. Or I need access to our Avalanche Explorer, which the same team builds, and I can actually see my on-chain transactions for each subnet. That's all within the same dashboard. Again, solving this problem of a scattered ecosystem by just pulling in all the utility into one tool and then solving other problems that domino behind it. So those are some of the main ones that we've done thus far. So that's what we've brought in at this point. There's a lot of other things with it. Now, we've got a few things on the immediate horizon that we're pretty excited about that are going to help bring in further utility and provide a little bit more utility for users as they come through. So one of them is a staking center. So what we're building in this now is we're enabling users to stake directly to validators or delegate directly to validators from the dashboard. And this isn't what you've seen on other ones where this isn't liquid staking, but this is you having your node ID and be able to have a UI and stake directly to that. And this is going to be a precursor for individuals having permissionless staking on subnets. So when all these subnets start to come out, permissionless or elastic staking is available. So I can stake to the P chain, and then I can stake to, let's say, DFK or Karbata or whatever other subnets are available right now. And eventually those tools will be here. And this will be the one place. So that way when you're deploying your subnet, you know that you have users out there that can immediately start putting staked amount of whatever you have to your validators, securing your network better, and you know that that tool is available, so you don't need to build that for them. You'll have that for them right here. And we'll have a dashboard so that they can see that information. The other thing that we're building, which is actually pretty cool, but it's a lot of work, is NFT marketplace aggregator. And these exist and in some way or another, and Avalanche is definitely missing that piece. And here is us solving that, where there are many different marketplaces, things are priced differently, and if you're very much into your NFTs, you should be able to like list on multiple marketplaces, see what the best price is, or see what the best price is for the same NFT project across multiple marketplaces. What we're doing is pulling in all that information from, say, NFT Trade or JPEGs. What are they pricing at these different ones, and putting them into one place so that you can see like what is the best price. I don't need to go to these other ones. So that way you can just interact with the best marketplaces from one location. And again, we're not doing anything in such a way where we're building our own marketplace. We're not executing these transactions. You're still interacting with these other marketplaces. We're just making sure that it's easier for you to get to them. So again, we're not trying to compete with it in the same sense of oh, we want to build our marketplace. We want these projects to flourish. We want you to use them. We just want to make it easier for you to find them. So, and that's mostly it. So at this point, Core has pulled in a lot of utility, and Core has really found its place in, or the problems it's trying to solve, and it's been a great journey thus far to get to this point, but we definitely have a lot more to go, and I've only addressed some of these. There's many more. Web 2 UX, that's going to be key to getting users to actually come over from other tools. Identity solutions, that can be very exciting. We didn't even get into industry problems. But even you can see, like, by approaching just a few small problems, we've pulled in a ton. And Core's less than a year old. I think that the extension was deployed after Summit sometime last year. Web was only deployed like late summer. So we've pulled in a ton of utility in an incredibly short amount of time. And we've got a lot more that we want to do with it. This is some stuff on future roadmaps and where we're going. There's a talk later by, you'll see on the schedule by Akash Gupta. He's going to be talking about the future items in much more detail, but this is some of the things that we're pretty excited about. Either integrating gaming, centralized identity is going to be very key, integrating dApps, which I touched on briefly, so be very cool. And this is some of the team, just want to give them a shout out, who works on it. Who isn't pictured here is our data platform team. I couldn't get a picture of them, but they do a ton of work and power the Explorer. But a lot of people work on this. A lot of people put a lot of time and effort into it, and we are very excited. I love working with this team, so I wanted to give them just, a little bit of a shout out. And if you're interested in learning more about Core or the people that work on it, here are some other ones who are talking. They may have happened already, so you can find them online. But yeah, and that's it. I don't know if I have any time, and I'm not sure there are questions, but if you have any, happy to answer them. All right. Oh, okay.
Hey, so can we use Core as like inside our app? Right? Can we use like?
You want to use this one?
So we can use like Core inside our dApps, right? Like, what about the branding? Is like, do we need to always use the Core, or can we just use like by Core? You know what I'm saying?
I think what you're saying is, do you have to interact with Core to use these apps?
No, like for example, we develop like a dApps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then inside the dApps, there should always be a wallet, right? So there should be like a, or like there have been like API or like the SDK that we can integrate Core into our dApps, right?
No, there's not something available right now where you could say integrate Core into your dApp. What we're trying to build, and it's not quite there yet, where you can integrate your dApp within Core. But I'm sure there's something along the lines we can go the other way. There have been discussions where we can develop like a bridge SDK where you can integrate that into your dApp. But
like similar to Rainbow SDK.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah, so that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
We would love to use Core because Core is like the very few EVM wallets that support Bitcoin.
Yes, it is one of the few EVM wallets that supports Bitcoin. It also supports, it will soon support the XNP chain, which will probably be the only wallet that supports that. So if you're a heavy Avalanche user and you want to be able to sign on the XNP chain, this Core extension and Core Mobile are key components to that. Cool.
All right. Yeah, it's working. Hey, so I'm just like wondering, how do you manage, like you guys have built a lot in a really short time. Can you share something about how you prioritize all of that work? Like, why did you decide to build the NFT marketplace before, I don't know, maybe solving some UX, UI, Web 2 usability problems? Like, can you like talk about the prioritization framework that you use, or?
Yeah, and this is just like, it's ruthless prioritization. You're not always going to get it right, and it's not just like us making these decisions in isolation. We have huge teams that are working on it. We agree, we disagree, and things like choosing to build the NFT marketplace is us seeing like, okay, what has the highest value? What is the lowest hanging fruit for the most return? and what actually is providing utility to the community. Like, we've got a very large list of tools we would love to build that we are constantly adding to, but it's just kind of looking at them being like, you know what, no one needs that right now, or this isn't as value adding. This is like someone in the ecosystem is already filling this space. How can we fill this space a different way? So NFT marketplace, there really isn't a great aggregator tool right now in Avalanche for that. And Avalanche does struggle a little bit in the NFT space. So we're seeing like, okay, how can we support this? And that's an answer to that question.
All right, thanks. Yeah, no, I mean, it's probably really difficult when you have so many competing priorities, and also the fact that you are also targeting different type of users. You have your DGen, also people getting into Web3, sorry, also developers and builders, all of that. So yeah, no, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much, guys.